Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. So finally the dust has settled and the movie is out. And I'm sure every one of you had a chance to watch it. If not, this was your warning to skip back on this video for now because we're gonna talk about some stuff that went down in the movie and could be spoiler. Alright, so let's do a quick talk and about all the characters that are there in the movie. Yeah, let's start with my favorite for this movie. That's Baraka. I know you might be thinking it might be Johnny or Sonia or whatnot, but nah, it's Baraka, man. Like, he was there. He was perfect. He was dressed well. All the backgrounds looked amazing. His village looked amazing. His fight style was on point. And yeah, even the way he was, he went down in the fight, that was epic, and it just paid service to both of the characters that were there. So it was very respectable to the source material. And Baraka itself, wasn't shoehorned into the story as in, just being a random character. He was there to play a part, and he did it very well. And overall, I really like Baraka, like the way they did it. And there's quite a bit of funny scenes between him and Johnny. They seem to have developed this relationship where Baraka is just impressed, man. Like, he just loves Johnny. He thinks he's the best fighter in the galaxy, and he's looking forward to getting some more wisdom from him. Yeah, even the kids in his town were like just became Johnny fans. And they were all sitting around a campfire trying to listen to all these tales from Johnny, and how he's mastered all this. All right, next up is a character that not a lot of people were happy to see in the last movie. And I'm happy to report that he is gone. Like, he's permanently gone. Obviously, I'm talking about Cole Young. Yeah, he's been smashed very bad by Shao Kahn. His brain's just gone mush, and even his body, like he like Quan Chi can't resurrect him because he's just gone into the acid pit and he's just decomposed by now. By the end of the movie, Cole Young is no more and he cannot be brought back. So, I don't know if a lot of people would be happy, but he sort of, brought a new character style and a fighting style into the games. Well, not to the game, to the movie. But yeah, his sort of style even outsmarted Shao Kahn in a few of the moves, and only if it wasn't for the extra powers that Shao Kahn had, Cole Young had him pretty bad. He had him right there. But yeah, now he's gone, man. Like, he spoke about, how he wouldn't ever be able to see his family, but yes, it was true. He was just foreshadowing his own demise. And yeah, what else, to say about him? Nothing, nothing. That's Cole Young for you. All right. And on the other hand, Kaino, he came back. I sort of spoke about it in the last video, which all 20 of you watched. Yeah, so he came back. He's been brought back by Quan Chi, and he has his eye, which again is a gift from Quan Chi. Has better. I don't know if it's better than his last time that he had his laser eye. If this eye is better, but he seems to be controlling it more than last time. Yeah, so Kano, a lot of funny scenes. I love the energy, love the way he delivers. He just, like, you can't top this guy in any form. Like, even with Raiden, like, yeah, even Raiden was out of words responding back to Kano. Talk about Raiden. Dude's pretty, fixated on being a god and not interfering, but he's just getting clapped left and right. Even in this movie, man, like, Raiden spent most of the movie just lying down and not being able to do much, because he was just pretty put down badly by Mr. Kung Lao, who came back, as Dark Kung Lao. I don't know what kind of remnant he is. But yeah, Kung Lao was back, thanks to Quan Chi once again. And he had this epic fight with Liu Kang. Like, that's gotta be the highlight. And it just goes on onto this they just been teleported into this space where it doesn't quite exist in the movie space. We haven't been told where they were, because most of the other fights tend to take part in the town wherever Shao Kahn's been residing with his armies. But these two, Liu Kang and Kung Lao, just went to this other mystical space, which is quite similar or maybe inspired by one of the backgrounds from the original game. Yeah, so they were there. Epic fight, epic fight. Max Hong did justice. He played the part. He portrayed him the best that there was to do with Kung Lao. And I think he's going to come back. The next movie, whenever they're going to make it, I think that there's going to be a bigger focus on the relationship of Kung Lao and Liu Kang and how, they both, come back, I should say. Ooh, I think that's another spoiler. Yeah, Liu Kang, buddy. Yeah, he's dead. I think I've sort of spoke about it previously, but yeah, he's dead, man. Like, he's gone. But he's not dead in a way that you would see other characters die in the movie or other places. He sort of went away by his own will. And even like the scene of him actually dying at the end of being pushed in the chest by the hammer from Shao Kahn. Yeah, he just died with dignity. He just sort of left his own soul, or actually took his own soul and just became a mystical being who just left and said, "Oh, he's gonna be back helping out Kung Lao, and just he's gonna figure out." And he's finally figured out his motive. Oh, sorry, his purpose, and he says it out loud in the movie. His purpose is to serve or to protect Kung Lao. So, yeah, let's see what happens with Kung Lao and Liu Kang in the next movie. Scorpion had a tiny scene, I should say, or like a tiny portion. He wasn't featured heavily, but he was used perfectly. Like he wasn't just running around, like out of randomly appearing at places. He he was in the nether realm. He was there. He was just doing his thing, and just people showed up. So obviously, when you show up, you just die. That's Scorpion. Um, Talk about die. The last person to talk. We need to talk about who died. Oh well, there's two. Noob Saibot, because we don't know if he's dead or not. Because he just got pushed with his all these energy beams, and I think that's the only weak part of this movie. I should say, it sort of felt like them just projectiling, them just firing these energy beams, and that's where Jade showed up as well. And shoot the energy beams, and I felt that part was weak, but I think Johnny's kick sort of saved it. Um, and that was the exact part when his powers showed up. We're gonna talk about Johnny later, but yeah, I think that was pretty weak. So we don't know what's gonna happen with Noob Saibot, if he's coming back or not. But I think he's done, maybe. Um, yeah, Jax. Yeah, bro, he's dead. His arm came in aid in one spot. Well, he'd sort of defeated Jade in the first fight they had, so he was pretty full on. Didn't do any brutalities or fatalities just because Katana spayed someone. But yeah, yeah. So he's dead. Shao Kahn, took his hammer, took the back of it, and just speared it through his body. And but he did manage to break the case that was holding the amulet from what's that dude's name? He wasn't even in the movie. Like that's another loophole, or that the directors may have left it on the cutting room. Oh yeah, that was Shinnok. It was Shinnok's amulet. So yeah, that just was sort of the center point of the movie. Yeah, so they found it in Kano's pocket, which is weird because they just didn't have to resurrect him. They just could have just searched his pockets and got it. But yeah, that's the whole sole reason why Kano's there. And he just came back because they wanted to ask him where the amulet was, and it turned out it was just in his pocket. So yeah, with the amulet, with Jax was able to break that case, and that was the only part where he was involved. Um, who else? Who else we need to talk about? Oh yeah, the only other person or the main important person of this movie was Citizen Cage or Johnny Cage. Yeah, so I think it was just a movie or a emotion that was surrounded around his life. How he's down. He's a washed up character from the '90s who's done a lot of movies, and then it was told like he was a master black belt when he was a kid. There was a video of him from the '85 era competitions that he was part of. Yeah, so he's just lost his way in the world right now. He doesn't seem to be getting any friends at the Comic Con. No one seems to care about his movies anymore. So he's particularly at a low point, and I think that's when things sort of changed because his arc was more about how he realized the greatness inside him, and constantly he was reminded by someone that he's supposed to be the actor he's always talked about. So yeah, he acted, and he just took a took a few tricky situations and just solved them pretty well with his using his Hollywood knowledge. He even says that that's Hollywood negotiation 101 in one of the other scenes that he was in. But yeah, overall, Johnny Cage, very well written character, very well played. I wasn't sure about the actor before quite getting into the movie, but once I'm out, I can't unsee him like as being Johnny Cage. I don't think that there's anyone else who can play a better Johnny Cage than him right now. So yeah, his part was that even though he lost the his fight, but he had a very good very good part to play in the overall story that had just continued between him and Raiden. So Raiden sort of gave him a bit of pep talk to realize who he was and to embrace that he's there for the greater good, not just for himself. Because that was his whole thing. At the start, he was just all about himself. He's very self-obsessed. He sort of became selfless, but it sort of showed up later. Talk about the Baraka and his minions about all the things that he was doing. But that's besides the point. Um, so Johnny's powers showed up in the very last scene, and where he finally managed to do a front kick with the slide in the green glow. So that's the only scene of him using his power. The rest of it is him just showing up as a character. He's Johnny Cage, then he just becomes this Citizen Cage character and just trash talks. The other iconic thing that they've shown about him is his glasses. Johnny's glasses are there, and they do tend to change the tone of the scene where he puts them on, or where he actually sees the glasses. Um, yeah, yeah. And lastly, Katana. She was sort of the main character. You could say the story sort of revolved around her story. Yeah, and her relationship with Jade and Sindel and Shao Kahn. So while she was the adopted daughter, I think she led a pretty good life. While rest of the realm sort of struggled. Even Baraka's tribe was just being pushed to the side. They weren't allowed in the castle, but Katana seems to be doing pretty well for herself as a princess. And yeah, that but she risked it all. She wanted to help out Raiden, wanted to help out Earthrealm, and she did that even at the end. If it wasn't for her, the whole Earthrealm would have been lost. It was because of which sides, and yeah, just brutally murdered Shao Kahn. Not gonna break how she did that. I think that's for you to go see in the movies. And with that, I think overall it was a very good movie. I would highly recommend to anyone who wants to go see a movie, or who wants to see a movie about action, or someone who just loves Mortal Kombat and the video games. It's a movie that's gonna serve everyone and just gonna satisfy each everyone's itch for that kind of perfect movie. Yeah, and with that, let's just wrap up this video. I think I've said enough, and that's my review for this movie. I'm going to continue doing more of this later. Hopefully, we're going to improve. I'm still new at this, so yeah, let's see how many people watch this one, and then we're going to go about recording a new movie. There's new Marvel stuff that's going to drop soon, so I'm going to be focusing on that as well, and because that's another one of my interests. I'm only going to talk about movies that I like. I do want to do a bit of DC talks as well, about talking about DC movies here and there. But yeah, we'll see whenever a good DC project drops next, and the fans start to build around it. All right, until then, I'm gonna wrap it up for now, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye.